Don't trust HR. My performance review nearly killed me. I had just opened my laptop when the HR email landed in my inbox. Your performance review is scheduled to begin. Please present yourself to Office 3 tomorrow at 8 a.m. for the calibration procedure. Calibration. The word buzzed with possibility. This wasn't just any performance review. This was the review. The yearly one that would hopefully catapult me into a senior role. Operations, perhaps. The word alone felt far more exciting than the financial spreadsheets and SQL queries I'd spent the last year working on. And my boss was from operations, a realm of decisions and action I desperately wanted to join. Just as the clock ticked past 5, he appeared at my cubicle, a wide grin splitting his face. He leaned against the fabric wall. His weight shifted slightly due to the pronounced limp in his gait, a souvenir he'd once mentioned from a hiking accident that had cost part of his leg. "Well, well," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "Big day tomorrow, huh? Don't let me down." I gave him a half smile, my gaze drawn to his company badge. An imposing black, so different from the sea of blue worn by us junior staff. I just wished I had one like that for myself. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The big day came and I arrived early at Office 3. It was in a part of town I'd never been to, a somewhat isolated area near the port with not much else around. It struck me then, not for the first time, that despite the time at the job, I couldn't quite articulate what it was the company did. The specifics of our products were shrouded in secrecy. All we knew were the government contracts and sensitive technology. Security, I was told. Maybe with a promotion, the fog would finally lift. Stepping into the waiting room marked by a large HR sign, I was met by a stern-faced secretary who simply gestured for me to sit. 3 other employees were already present. One was Emma, a sweet young woman from IT. We'd exchanged polite nods in the hallways before. She offered me a bright smile, the first to break the tension in the room. An older man, probably in his late 50s with graying hair, sat silently nearby. I knew him from the accounting department. There was also a third person, someone I'd seen around the office but didn't know. An engineer, I believe. He kept to himself, looking around with a similar air of unease. A knot tightened in my stomach. Were we all competing for the same promotion? The email had been vague about the process. The secretary finally rose and motioned for us to follow. We navigated a series of dim corridors until we reached a wooden door. She opened it just enough for us to pass through and tersely instructed us to step in. A shared, confused glance passed between the 4 of us before we complied. The door shut behind with a thud. The room we entered was vast, the size of a tennis court. A metal framework dominated the space, and above us, harsh lights and a half-dozen cameras were fixed. Along the side, a panel of glass stood out. My eyes focused on the glass and I noticed something strange. On the other side, I could see my boss and other department managers I recognized. They sat in comfortable chairs, watching us. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. And my boss was the first to get up to approach a computer located near the glass. He took his black badge, swiped it somewhere, and picked up a microphone attached to the console. "This is a performance review and the calibration process for promotion to operations manager of the 2nd region. My position," he began, his voice amplified through the sound system. "Please proceed to one of the panels. The streaming starts now." A red light illuminated on the cameras. They were recording us. In the center of the room, 4 panels were arranged in a tight circle, each screen facing inward like part of a bizarre game show. A small hole was visible in each panel, and a white circle on the floor indicated where I assumed we should stand. We approached, a wave of nervousness washing over us. No one seemed to have any idea what was going on. "Please position yourselves at the white circle," my boss instructed, and we obeyed. Once the 4 of us were standing within the marked area, he continued. "The process will be divided into 3 stages and may be extended until we have a selected candidate. The first stage is called screening, and it's just a form requesting your information and resume details. Please fill it out accurately and no matter what. Don't lie." On my panel, a form appeared, filled with a variety of professional and even personal questions. Are you married? What other languages do you know? What's your level in dealing with complex data? About 20 compressed questions appeared on the touchscreen, which we answered in silence. I filled it all out and tapped done. The rest of the candidates soon finished. "Very good," my boss said through the microphone. "Now the data will be analyzed before the next phase." We waited for about 10 anxious minutes, watching my boss check some stuff on the computer, analyzing it, and occasionally discussing something with the other department heads. Then he finally returned to the microphone. "Candidate William, you are eliminated from the process for lying." We heard a thud from the side of the engineer, the one I didn't know well. He collapsed, smoke rising from his forehead like he'd been shot. Emma let out a sharp scream of shock. The older accounting man and I remained silent, our faces drained of color. When I snapped out of it and went to try and help the engineer, I heard my boss's voice cutting through. "Stop right there," he commanded. And through the glass, I saw him looking directly at me. "There's a gun above your panel that's aimed directly at your head. If any of you step out of the white circle, you are terminated. Candidate William lied in his form and paid the price. It's a 100% confirmed lie based on our analysis. No cheating will be allowed in this process." My body stiffened. I stared at the hole in the terminal. There was definitely a barrel in it, pointed straight at me. Now, my boss continued, let's move on to phase 2. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Emma was sobbing uncontrollably, her whole body trembling with fear as my boss recited the rules for the next stage. We'll proceed to company knowledge. It's a quiz to determine who truly understands the company's core principles and key results, he stated flatly as if reading from a script. I will make 10 statements. You will have 5 seconds to answer true or false on your terminal. The one with the most incorrect answers at the end will be terminated. Before we could even process the information, he delivered the first statement. Integrity is one of our 5 principles. True or false appeared on my screen. We 3 exchanged panicked glances for a split second. Luckily, I knew this one. True, I blurted out. We all tapped our screens, and a moment later, a green confirmation flashed on mine. The next few statements came in rapid succession. Our primary client is the Department of Defense. True, I remembered seeing that in some document. Our CEO has been with the company for over 20 years. False, Emma got that one. Sustainability is a major focus in our operational guidelines. False, the older man confirmed. Each time, one of us had the right answer or an educated guess to share out loud with the rest. A fragile sense of camaraderie formed amidst the fear of what would happen to the loser. Emma, though clearly terrified, tried her best to keep up, her brow furrowed in concentration. The older man remained largely quiet, his answers appearing on his screen just a fraction of a second after ours. We managed to get through 9 sentences this way, leading to 9 correct answers for the 3 of us. Finally came the 10th. Our year-over-year revenue growth was 14% last year. A wave of uncertainty hit. I didn't recall seeing that specific figure anywhere. Emma looked lost, and the older man's face remained impassive. Then the man suddenly declared, "True." Emma, trusting his apparent certainty, quickly tapped True on her screen. My finger hovered over the options. True felt plausible, but something nagged at the back of my mind. A half-forgotten chart in a financial report. At the very last second, I realized it couldn't be 14%. It was closer to 9%. I slammed my finger down on false. I glanced at the older man. There was a flicker in his eyes. A brief, almost imperceptible glint of something that looked like satisfaction. He had known. He had deliberately given the wrong answer. The boss's voice echoed through the room. 2 candidates answered all questions correctly. Candidate Emma, with 9 correct answers, is eliminated from the process. A heavy silence descended. Emma gasped. Her eyes met mine for a fleeting second. And then I heard it again. The thud. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. As her body fell heavily to the floor, a surge of rage filled my chest. "You can't do this!" I shouted, confronting my boss in a fit of fury. He ignored my outburst and indicated that the next stage was about to begin. For a moment, I considered running to the door as fast as I could. But then I glanced back at the hole in the terminal, the reminder of how quickly the others had been killed. I turned to the older man, anger lacing my voice. "Why did you give her the wrong answer?" He also offered no reply, only a cold, unwavering stare. "The next phase will now begin," the sound echoed. "It is called sheer will, and it will test each participant's true desire for the promotion." The other managers rose from their comfortable chairs and approached the glass, their anticipation palpable, as if this were the highlight of the event. My boss typed something into the computer and swiped his badge again. This time, the panel structure lid in front of us slid open, revealing an object. It was a baseball bat. Its end was studded with spikes and nails. A deadly weapon. "The rules are simple," his voice echoed. "The last one standing gets the job. You may begin." I stared at the object, frozen in disbelief. When I finally registered what was going on, the older man was already charging towards me, a mix of determination and desperation in his eyes, the spiked bat raised in hand. What followed happened so fast I can't explain it. I snatched up the bat just as he swung his own. I raised my hand to block the blow. Instinctively, the nails tore through my skin, searing pain exploding as the bat got stuck in my palm, stopping a second hit. With my other arm gripping my own weapon, I retaliated with a single upward swing that pierced his jaw and neck. 30 seconds after my boss's announcement, the man laid on the floor with his neck open, gasping for air. I sank down beside him in shock. Then I heard the clapping. The other managers who had been watching were now cheering and applauding as if it were a sports show. The recording cameras had shifted to a lower angle, providing a gruesome close-up of me. My boss had vanished from behind the glass but reappeared at the wooden door, limping towards me. I sat numbly on the floor, my shirt now stained with droplets of blood. As he got close, he helped me to my feet. "Kid, you did much better than I did," he said, gesturing to his leg and glancing at my mangled hand. "I'm so proud of you." My gaze kept going back to Emma's lifeless body. Then he removed his badge, the black one I had always admired, and placed it around my neck. "You'll be an incredible manager," he stated before turning and walking away.